And ladies and gentlemen, here's your host of the hour, Aaron Berkowitz.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to invite all the students who we've asked to be on our camp panel to come forward. We're going to recreate for you a little version, our own version of The Tonight Show. I think I felt my age the most when I started telling our students at youth group about Jay Leno. They never heard of him, didn't know who he was. But I think I'll start with a little monologue here. I'll try the same joke that I used on the kids on you and see if I get any better response. Did you hear the story? Did you hear about the fire at the shoe factory? Thousands of souls were lost. Yeah, that's the same reaction I got. Well, I'm going to sit down now and start the interview portion of our Tonight Show. How are you guys doing? Thanks for coming up. Are you excited about camp? Good. Well, we've got some questions. We want to know, we want to share with our studio audience today what camp is like. Why don't some of you share, a couple of you, what's your best memory of camp so far? Some of you have been lots of times.
Go for it. Honestly, my best memory of camp was
probably just going to the lake every time we go and just spending time in the sun and playing in the water and growing closer to God and to friends.
That's awesome. What lake is it?
It's Redfish Lake.
Redfish Lake's pretty special.
Probably my best memory was when we were doing campfire, and then like some of our camp directors were like howling like wolves, and like the whole all the groups started freaking out.
That's pretty awesome. Howling like wolves. Cool. Anyone else? What's your favorite memory of camp?
Oh, gee, Aaron. My favorite memory at camp was having my birthday there at Redfish. It was very fun.
Did they sing to you?
Oh, they sure did.
And did you get a cake?
I got a little Snickers bar with a candle in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Anyone else want to share their favorite memory of camp? Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the next question. This one's a little bit more serious. What have you learned about yourself at camp? Have you learned anything about yourself and who you are? Sydney, you were so talkative when we did the rehearsal. What happened? It's different when they're all staring at you. If you picture them all in their underpants, it will help.
Not really.
Not really? No, maybe not.
Just makes
maybe
it
that just makes it worse.
Creepy. I can't really think of anything.
Okay, well, I learned that, so when I was younger, I used to be really, really shy, and I didn't want to, talk to anyone, but I learned that, I can come out of my shell, and I can talk to people and make friends, and it's not a big deal, so I was able to kind of branch out from myself at camp.
That's great. You learned that you could be more outgoing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. All right.
So when I was at camp, I kind of figured out that if I'm in nature, I kind of have more of a connection to God.
So you learned that when you're in nature, you feel closer to God.
Yeah.
That's a big, important lesson. Thank you.
At camp, I learned that I really like hearing people's testimonies, because normally every year, or almost every year, a counselor or a cabin parent will share their testimony, and I found it really interesting, so I like listening to those.
Tell us, for those of us who, what's a testimony?
So it's kind of sharing your story about how you found God in your journey.
Switch on the mic, that's not working.
Okay. Testimony. Okay. A testimony is sharing your story about how you found God and the journey along the way. And so I like listening to how people personally found God and their whole journey through it.
Are you hearing that any better?
Testing.
I know you have to leave your comfortable seats, but sometimes camp is that way. If they can come into the middle so people can hear them or something.
Testing. You can't hear.
Okay. You guys making a transition. You want to take your seat? You can take your seat.
Take your seats. We'll bring our seats here. How we doing now? This one's not working too well.
All right, so you guys now, you need to talk really loud, okay? That'll help. I think, where were we at? Who was talking? Was it? Al, oh, you were going to tell us what's a testimony. You said that you learned that you enjoy hearing people's testimonies, and some of us might not know exactly what a testimony is.
Okay, is this, oh, now it's working. Okay. Okay, a testimony, in my words at least, it's basically a story about how someone personally found God and their journey along the way with Christianity. And I really like hearing people's personal stories about how just they found God, because everyone's different. So it's never the same.
That is pretty awesome. It's fun to hear those. All right. Next question, along the same lines. What have you learned about God at camp?
Are we using this? Yeah, you can pass it down. You guys want? Kendall want to tell a joke?
That you're unique no matter what, I guess.
That you're unique, that God made everyone different. That's an important thing to know about God. Thank you.
I guess I just learned that God can really connect to us and reach out to us in different ways. And like Colton said, for him it's nature. And I would have to agree with that. For me personally, it's just very astounding to see the beauty in the world around us. And that is really, so I kind of learned that like God is an artist when I'm up there. So it's amazing.
Yeah. It's almost like you learn that God is closer to you than you thought. Yeah.
Practically what Megan said.
What Megan said, yeah.
Probably I learned that God is always with me and I never have to worry.
Good. God's always with you and you don't have to worry. This is, one of the hard things about camp is actually coming home, because it's not the same, right? So, but I'm curious, are there things that camp helped you with that came up later, like after you went home and you were able to do something, you were able to be closer to God? Is camp continue to impact you even after you get home? Has it made a difference in your life that's sort of ongoing?
So I've kind of felt like since I've gone to camp, like I've always now been like be able to like stand up for other people, because like I've never been able to do that as well as I have like before camp, and then after camp I was good at it. So I was like,
that's awesome. So camp gave you courage.
Yeah.
You took down into your daily life. That's amazing. Thank you.
I guess just going to camp every year, like just when you get home, it's just very spiritually refreshing, and I just have a sense of peace for a long time and a renewed like feeling of purpose, I guess, as someone who, it's good to have that feeling of like, this is why I'm here, and yeah, so just refreshing.
It reminds you of your purpose. Cool.
It makes me feel more confident and free about myself.
Yeah, you come home and you're more confident. That's great.
For me, well, normally it makes me think, hey, you can have fun and implement God into your daily routine, like, at the same time. And so last year they actually gave the 9th and 10th graders a little devotional Bible, and I still use it. It's a whole year thing. So it's helped me have a routine of when I wake up, do a devotion, and normally I don't do that, but after going to camp I realized I can do this, and it won't, it doesn't have to be, I don't know what I'm saying, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
No, it's hard to even take, I think, what we do in church and apply it to our daily lives. So that makes perfect sense. Anything you can take with you, practice on a regular basis. That's awesome. Thank you, Allison. Next question is this. Let's just imagine that you had a friend and you were trying to talk them in to come into camp with you. What would your sales pitch be? How would you convince them to go to camp with you?
Should I just do it again and pass
Sure.
it down? Okay, cool. So normally a lot of the cabin parents and counselors, they post pictures on Facebook. So I'd probably just show them all the pictures and this is what we'll be doing, this is what we can do, and this is what you can do, and just all that fun jazz.
Very good.
Well, the food's really good, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just a really good place for fellowship, and so it's kind of I'd probably kind of offer it up as a safe place for fellowship and communion with other Christ followers.
So you start with food and then lead to the fun and fellowship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
have
smart.
a strong hook, and then
I've found that food is a good opener. First, anything we do at church, there seems to be more people when we have food.
yeah,
So
food's a very good thing.
smart thinking.
I'd probably say, like, to kids my age, like, it feels like you can practically do whatever you want, like, at free time. And
So you're kind of free. There's
Yeah, like,
no
there's,
parents
like-
watching you. Is
Yeah.
that kind of a selling point for camp?
yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, good. That's a good sales pitch too.
I would tell them, like, first of all, I'm going to be there, so why would you not want to come? But another thing is that by going to camp with other people your age, you can learn more about God with those people. And I felt like that was something for me when I went to camp.
Awesome. Good job, Sydney. All right. Can any of you tell us, maybe you made some friends at camp? Because when you go to camp, there are students there from other churches, like all over Idaho. Did you make any friends, any special relationships that came out of camp for you?
There was this kid named Xander that I kind of like. He was just cool and like stood up for people, and I was like, hey, and he's kind of one of my friends now. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad that you met him.
I've made a few over the years. A couple of them, they're a year older than me, so they've both graduated, but we still keep in touch. So their names are Rosalind and Catherine, and they're still really special to me. So
Good.
So a little leading into it. This last year for the 9th and 10th grade camp, it was a really small camp, so all the girls were in one cabin, and all the guys were in one cabin. And so that whole cabin, we were just one big group of friends because we already all knew each other. And so there were about like 5 or 6 girls plus me, and it was just really fun because we all knew each other. It was a nice, tight-knit community. So yes, I've made a lot.
Awesome. Those relationships are really important. Yeah, you can hold on because I want to hear what you say about the next question. What do you think will be different about this next year's camp coming up this summer?
Probably the people, actually, and the activities. But with the people, because every year it's 2 grades combined, so you're either in the younger division or the older division. So there's always going to be like your grade plus another one. So every year the people are different. So it's fun to meet all the new people, plus the activities, because they always change every year.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. Anything else you think will be different?
well, I don't really know. This will be my last year as a camper since I'll be graduating. Last year was really different because I was staff and a camper, so I think it will be different again for me this year as of last year to be just a camper, probably. Or,
Knowing that it's your last
Yeah.
year as a camper might
Yeah.
make it more special. Awesome.
I think I'm looking forward to like the new activities because like once you go older you get like new activities and they're always new, but like I'm looking forward for like the newer.
New activities.
Yeah.
Each grade does slightly different things, so they keep it fresh for you. Field trips are awesome. Cool. All right, here's our last question, guys. What are you most excited about for camp this year? Is there an experience you really want to have? What are you most looking forward to?
I don't really know. Probably campfire. I like seeing the counselors. So.
Yeah, the counselors are awesome in campfire.
I think I'm going to look forward to playing Capture the Flag. That's just like I think it's so fun because it's like you can go up like in the forest and like
Capture the Flag at camp is different than Capture the Flag anywhere else.
Definitely. There's a lot more like hiding spots and you can go like different routes. It's cool.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to agree with Colton. Capture the Flag is the best. But I'm also mainly looking forward to seeing some friends again.
Reconnecting. Good.
Probably making new and seeing old friends.
New and old friends. Great.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Meeting my old friends and then making new ones, especially like the counselors, because it's exciting to see, okay, who stayed from last year, who's coming back, and what's their name, because
awesome.
Their names are hidden.
Kendall, are you excited for anything about camp?
This is going to be Kendall's first camp, yeah.
Kendall's excited that next year she'll have gone to camp, so she'll have something to say. She's not really that shy. She just hasn't ever been before, so.
I guess meeting new people.
Meeting new people. Well, I'm excited for you to go, Kendall. It's going to be fun. All right, well, that concludes our interview panel. Thank you guys for coming. It's good to see you. I'll see some of you at camp, and next year you can share your new experiences with us, all right? Let's give them a round of applause, everybody. Well, I want to just take a look at a scripture that always makes me think of camp. It makes me think of youth ministry. Every time I think about our church and what we're doing with our students, I think about this scripture from Deuteronomy. It comes from chapter 4, and this is Moses talking to the congregation. So imagine that Moses is saying this to you. See, just as the Lord my God has charged me, I now teach you statutes and ordinances for you to observe in the land that you are about to enter and occupy. You must observe them diligently, for this will show your wisdom and discernment to the peoples, who, when they hear all these statutes, will say, surely this great nation is a wise and discerning people. For what other great nation has a God so near to it as the Lord our God is whenever we call to him? And what other great nation has statutes and ordinances just as this entire law that I am setting before you today? But take care and watch yourselves closely, so as neither to forget the things that your eyes have seen, nor to let them slip from your mind all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your children's children, how you once stood before the Lord your God at Horeb when the Lord said to me, assemble the people for me, and I will let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me as long as they live on the earth, and may teach their children so. This is the word of the Lord. I'm sure you've all seen the news that 50 indictments have been handed down in the last week about the college admissions cheating scandal. Wealthy parents, if you haven't heard, wealthy parents have been giving bribes to elite college institutions to get their children in. Now, this isn't just making a donation and then hoping it counts. That wasn't good enough for these parents. These parents gave bribes to key people at these institutions to get their children, to get their students enrolled. Most of them even without their students knowing. But aside from judging, which is understandable, this was obviously wrong. But aside from that, how do we understand what happened? How do we understand what they did, why they did it, and what does it say about our society? Well, I'm going to give you basically 3 ways you can look at this. The first way, I think, was most obvious to me, and lots of pundits have said, is that these parents, in a way, they kind of insulted their own children, because they said, you know what, I have more faith in my money than I do in my students' merits to get in on their own. That's one way to think of it. Another way to think of it is that they didn't think that in our society merit is good enough. In other words, they didn't think that their students' qualities is enough in this world. That in this world, being good, being diligent, being a good student is not enough. You have to have money. That point might be debatable. Maybe that's true. Maybe in this world, it's not really a meritocracy. Maybe you need to have a little money to grease the wheels. But I think there's a third way to look at it, and it's a way that comes out of this scripture that we just read. What does Moses say? He says essentially that it is your responsibility, each of you individually, first to know the words of the Lord. The words of God that were spoken at Mount Sinai, you have to know them, and you have to keep them before you your whole life. Which means you don't get to stop when you're done with Sunday school. You have to spend your whole life keeping God's words before you and in your mind. And then, and as a parent, I've learned this is the hard part, you have to be able to pass those on to your children. And there's no outsourcing here in this scripture. The public school system is not going to do this for you. The temple is not going to do this for you. You have the responsibility as individuals to teach your children. So when your child or your grandchild says, "Why can't I see God?" or "Why did Jesus die?" you have to be able to answer that question. Which is why you have to spend your whole life studying God's Word. Because when Jaya asked me that, I found it very difficult to explain to a 4-year-old why you can't see God or why Jesus died. But the point I'm getting to here is that one way to look at what happened over the last week with these indictments is to see that these parents put the worldly success of their children above their spiritual well-being. Worldly success over and above spiritual well-being and moral well-being. But as I thought about that, one fact just stared me in the face. And it is that these parents, they use their money to give their children an advantage, and in a way that was illegal. And as wrong as that is, and even though most of us never have done that and never would do it, the fact is most of us here probably couldn't. Most of us don't have the kind of money that was being given. And I wonder, would we, if we had the opportunity, would we be tempted to use that money to give our children an advantage, even if it was unfair? Which leads to the next question is, if what was being done is to put the worldly success of children above their spiritual well-being, in what other ways do we do that? How do we put the worldly success of our children above their spiritual well-being? Do we worry more about our children's grades than we worry about their faith? Do we spend more time with sports than we do with church? Do we teach our children the value of $1 with the same emphasis that we teach them the value of prayer? For me, Moses' words are convicting. They challenge me to take responsibility for my family, to teach them the words of God, and not to put my children's worldly success above their spiritual health. And camp is one of the things that we support here at this church. And again, it's not that we say we do it for you. I never want to give the impression we'll take over your children's spiritual education. That's not why we're here. That's not why camp is here. The church and camp are here as tools to support you as you teach your children and your children's children the truths and the words of God. Please pray with me. Lord, we thank you for camp. We thank you for church. We thank you for youth ministry. But as we hear Moses' words, we know and we are reminded that the responsibility belongs to each of us to keep God's word in our minds our whole lives and to teach our children and their children what God has said and done. Lord, so let us use those tools. Let us use our church and our youth ministry and our camps. But let us never forget to take responsibility ourselves. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.